Algebra 1, Section 4.4, solving multi-step inequalities. Okay, so basically what we're going to do now is take all of our skills from Chapter 3, equation solving, and combine them with what we now know about inequalities, solving inequalities, and put that to use. Okay, so the rule remains the same as yesterday and throughout Chapter 3. You do exactly what you did with equations. You're going to ask yourself what's happening to the variable, undo things in reverse order, but anytime you multiply or divide by a negative number, the inequality switches. Okay, so here we go. We just got 5 examples to power through here. Subtract 5 from both sides. Back up. Your variable is b, it's being multiplied by 4 and then added to 5. So we want to subtract 5 from both sides. And then divide both sides by 4. Is that okay? Right? You didn't switch the sign because you're dividing by a positive number. B is less than 4. Now, I'm not going to continue to show you checks every time, but they will. And you'll see some of this in your book too. They actually did the check that I showed you on the last 2 videos. Here's a application again. The band is making a rectangular banner that is 20 feet long with trim around the edges. What are the possible widths the banner can be if there is no more than 48 feet of trim? Okay, so you got a rectangle that's 20 feet, okay, and there's only 48 feet of trim to go around. Now you can probably just kind of think this through and answer the question, but let's do it mathematically. Let's call the width W. You know, a rectangle, the sides are the same length, so you got 20 in W and then 20 in W, okay? So 2 20s plus 2 W's cannot exceed 48. Could it be less? I mean, could we have some trim left over? Sure, you're probably going to max it out, but you could have some left. That's why it's an inequality. So this is 40. Go ahead and subtract 40 from both sides, and then divide by 2. All the while, the less than or equal to remained less than or equal to. And you've got W is less than or equal to 4. What are the possible widths of the banner can be if there is no more than 48 feet of trim? Well, something less than or equal to 4. If they decided that they wanted it to be 3, that would be fine. But at maximum 4, inclusive, right, because of the or equal to. Okay, kind of stepping it up here in difficulty. Now you've got parentheses. We need to distribute this 4 to both terms in the parentheses. 3x plus 24 minus 4x is less than 2. Now combine like terms. You've got 3x and negative 4x. That would be negative x plus 24 is less than 2. Subtract 24 from both sides. You'll have negative x on the left, and this would be negative 22. 2 minus 24. Again, if you want to show the intermediate step there, if you'd like to do that, if that helps you with accuracy, go ahead. You know, show minus 22, minus 24, minus 24. Now, we don't want to know what negative x is. We want to know what x is. So what's the last step here? If I polled the class and everybody had to give an answer, some people would say multiply both sides by negative 1. Other people would say divide both sides by negative 1. All of those are correct. And all of those, you should have heard your brain go ding, because you said multiply by a negative or divide by a negative. Either way, whether you multiply or divide by a negative, you'll get x here, by negative 1 that is. You'll get x here, you'll get 22 here, less than becomes greater than. Okay, now this would be a great one to check, so let's actually do check this one. 3 times 22 plus 4 times 6 minus 22. Wondering if that's equal to 2. Also, let's pick something greater than 22. Again, just use something, let's use 25. That'll be an easier one to do than 23. 3 times 25 plus 4 times 6 minus 25, close parenthesis, wondering if that's less than 2. If it is, then we're good to go, right? Let's do up here first. This is 66 plus 4 times 6 minus 22 would be negative 16. 4 times negative 16 would be negative 64. And that does equal 2. It checks. Here you got 75 plus 6 minus 25 in parentheses there would be negative 19. 4 times negative 19 would be negative 76. Is 75 minus 76 less than 2? Well, 75 minus 76 is negative 1. Yes, that is less than 2. It checks as well. We know our answer is correct. Okay, now I won't cover the graphing here because we've covered that so much, but you absolutely can graph these as well, and watch for that in the homework. They'll have you graph the solution set. You might not be able to put 0. When it's 22, you probably can't put 0. So just, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, like that. All right, let's move on. 2 more examples. Here you have variables on both sides of the inequality, treated just like you would the equation. There are actually 4 correct first steps here. You could say add 6 to both sides. You could say subtract 12 from both sides. You could say subtract 8z from both sides, although I know everybody's going to avoid that because you don't want to forget the exception. But I say embrace it. So if you want to subtract 8z from both sides here and have negative 5z on the right and continue with the problem, you could do that. But I'm going to do what the majority would do, and that is to subtract 3z from both sides. And that would be 5z minus 6 less than 12 is less than 12. Add 6 to both sides and divide by 5. See, by choosing this first step, then you avoided the having to change the inequality symbol. And I like 18/5 as an answer. Okay. Now you may like, because again, they could ask you to graph these. You may like 3 3/5 to kind of help you with a graph, or 3.6. Those are all the same thing. Just don't round a decimal and you're safe. If you round a decimal and I don't tell you to, you're at risk of missing a half point. Last one. Let's distribute. Negative 15 plus 5d less than or equal to, distribute here, 9d minus 6. Just for fun, let's do it. Let's subtract 9d from both sides. This is negative 15 minus 4d less than or equal to negative 6. Add 15 to both sides, and you'll have negative 4d less than or equal to, what do we do? We added 15, so 9, positive 9. So dividing by negative 4, ding, d. Here you'll have 9 over negative 4, which is the fraction negative 9/4, less than or equal to becomes greater than or equal to. D is greater than or equal to negative 9/4. Hey, real quick. What if you went the other way? What if you subtracted 5d from both sides? Then you'd have negative 15 less than or equal to 4d minus 6. Add 6 to both sides, negative 9 less than or equal to 4d, and divide by 4. Negative 9/4 less than or equal to d. Okay? Now, those do say the same thing. As I've told you, I believe I've said this in a previous video, I do prefer you put the variable on the other side. I'm pretty sure that by the time you're in pre-calc, they require this. So you might as well get in the habit of this now. Just take another second and do this. And yes, that's the other reason, right? So there's really 2 reasons why you'd ever switch a sign. One reason is because you divided by a negative, like happened in this example. The other reason is if you flip around the left side and the right side, obviously the inequality has to flip as well. Notice that we have the same thing either way we did it. Thank you for watching.